Hey folks, it's Brian. Here finally with a chance to give you part two of my little commentary about Good Times. You know, in the first part I pretty much talked about the fact that Good Times is not a mod spin out, despite popular belief that Good Times is not a mod spin off. Uh, that was totally written by different writers and point out the differences and everything. So that was pretty much it. Right now, I'm going to point out, I'm going to talk about how the show went downhill and began with the emergence of Jimmy Walker as a star. Let's face it, Jimmy Walker was a stand-up comic who got famous for being on the show, and he came with the catchphrase "Dynamite." You know, kind of like how Fozzie would utter "a" or "sit on it" every episode of Happy Days, or how today, like Sheldon goes bazinga on Big Bang Theory. Well, um, today, that made him a star, but at the same time, it kind of rubbed the cast the wrong, rubbed the rubbed John Amos and Esther Roll the wrong way. Esther Roll didn't like the fact that he was a first off he was not a good student. Where the younger kids were good students. Thelma and Michael. Um, he was lazy, and plus, let's face it, he was somewhat dishonest because in the early episodes he would talk about fan and mail when he was actually going to people's mailboxes and stealing it. Then there was this. Then of course, the one that really the comics really kind of got things rolling as far as it got people really like crazy, drove people crazy, was when John Amos went in Jet Magazine and really laid everything out. Talked about the same thing as Roll did. And plus, he laid everything at the doorstep of the show's producer, Norman Lear. In fact, Norman Lear at this time was, he pretty much said in that show, Norman Lear was so wrapped up in his little pet project, Mary Hartman, that it pretty much, he pretty much ignored, the problems in the sense of his two big money makers. All the Family was going through problems with the writers in the cast, and same with Good Times. And when that happened when he made those comics, he made them with Jet. Amos made those comics, he made them with Jet Magazine. And when that happened, the proverbial grits hit the fan. Amos wound up getting fired. We were show to get ready for rehearsals for season 4, and then wound up getting fired. He wound up getting told he was getting fired from the show, and that really irked him. And when Amos got fired, of course, we all know the story. James died, and they kill off James on the show. And when that happened, that kind of tore the show apart, really, because James was like the center of the show. He was the patriarch. He was the one who was making sure he kept his family together while they were trying to make ends meet. And when that happened, a lot of people were like going, "Oh God!" People really like got upset about it. And the show carried on, that season with Ford, like, taking pretty much being the mother, matriarch of the family, trying to make sure the family stay together. But she still was very upset at the fact that Jimmy Walker was still being seen as the star of the show, when he as a kind of like a role model per se, but she thought it was a negative stereotype for young black folks. And by the end of that season, she wound up leaving the show, and that was pretty much the beginning of the Emperor show, because when she left the show, that it meant that Jimmy Walker finally had a chance finally had to carry the show as the lead, but he was, he can only go so far with JJ, and Lona was seen as more the adult figure in the stories now. And plus, they even did the one thing that automatically causes a shark jump in the show, and that was bringing the cute kid, and that was when Janet Jackson um, got her first acting gig. Became an actress, and of course she she was like the cute kid who was going to replace who was now filling for Ralph Carter, who had gotten older, and it was in high school. So then the other thing then of course the next year Esther came back to the show, only on the promise that they make JJ more respectable. They tried to do that, and but there were still moments where JJ was still kind of less than honest or whatever. And then they also tried marrying Velma off, and it was just a mishmash. The whole season was a train wreck, and they finally decided to cancel the show. Um, I really feel that it ran its course after John Davis had left. So, and I wouldn't blame if they canceled after Esther left. But such is life. That's what happens in television when you rely so much on one person to be the star, and that pretty much ended it. Anyway, thanks for viewing this commentary such history lesson on history lesson on the history of a television show that was just started off so great, but ended after ended so wrongly. Okay, folks, peace out.